which tracks U.S. real estate, has not kept up with the broader market's gains so far this year. The sector facing headwinds like high borrowing costs and falling demand. San Francisco reaching its highest office vacancy ever in the second quarter. Joining us now, founder and executive chairman of Caruso, Rick Caruso, owns a mix of retail, residential, casino, and office properties like the Miramar Resort, the Grove, and Palisades Village. Rick, great to see you here.
Good being here. Thanks for having me.
So even though the broad real estate sector, publicly traded, hasn't quite kept up with the market, it's actually up a lot off the lows. I think as people have priced in lower yields, possibility of Fed rate cuts, maybe the worst, who knows, is over, or somebody's out there, about to take whatever losses sit on the books. I think people are trying to look on the bright side. Is that justified?
I think it's justified. I mean, you got to break it down into sector, right? So my universe is apartments, retail, hospitality. We're performing very well. Our NOI is going to be up double digit, about 13% this year, so we're having a really strong year. We're very happy about that. Attendance is great. Sales per square foot is great. If I was in the office sector, I'd be more concerned. Actually, I don't think we've seen the bottom yet. And in LA, I think we're up to about 30% vacancy in downtown LA, and that's a real problem.
So if we haven't seen the bottom, I mean, whether it's from vacancy rates or just values of properties, right? I mean, that's still working its way through. Leases are long. They take a long time to bleed off. Is there any sense that you think there's a constructive rethink of what downtowns ought to be, what we should do with these things, or is it just a matter of we just have to, kind of let the losses wash over the system?
Well, listen, I mean, you've got a sale in downtown LA with one of the best A buildings that is selling for $147 a foot. It was valued at $600 million. It's selling for $200 million. So that's the kind of losses that are being hit. So you can make an argument that's an entry point to get in. But I don't think the bottom is hit because we still have rising crime. We have homeless problems, especially in downtown LA. And you really have to have aggressive leadership to go tackle this, because it's not about going back to work. It's about where you want to go back to work. And downtown LA is not the choice where people want to come back to. But I think it can be turned around.
They could have elected you mayor, but they didn't. So what is the problem? Is it a political problem?
I think it's a political problem. I think it's a problem of the will, the desire, and frankly, the knowledge to go make some changes. They're not complicated changes. You've got to make the streets safe. You've got to clean up the streets. You've got to make it an environment where people want to go to work. I mean, this is just basic human nature that we all understand. And some cities are doing a very good job. But if you take a look at downtown LA, that is declining, and you look 30 minutes away to Century City, best rates they've ever had in terms of rents, right? And the buildings are filled up because the area is clean and safe, and it works for workers to come in to go do their job.
What about, so you're heavy in retail. Are you seeing, the market's been concerned about a slowdown, a deterioration in the consumer and jobs? Are you seeing that impact the business?
We're not seeing a lot of it. We're seeing a little bit of it, but I'm not very concerned about it. What I'm more concerned about is you've got the consumer taking on more debt than ever. You have more pay later, right? We see those numbers. The consumer may end up slowing down a bit. I think it's going to be a little bit of turbulence, but not long term. And we're seeing a lot of growth. So, again, in my universe, we cannot meet the demand for retailers that want to be on our properties. We're running at 100% occupied. We're increasing our rents as they roll over 20%. So the right properties, the right locations, the demand is there and the sales are there.
One of the big arguments, of course, for the Fed getting aggressive in terms of bringing rates down is it does actually matter in real time to things like credit card rates.
Of course it
and
does.
obviously anything, real estate loans linked to prime.
I'm excited about that.
So is that going to change the equation for you? Or?
It's going to make it better.
Yeah.
And I'm bullish on the future, right? You've got real growth in this country that's probably going to be around 2.5%. You've got an environment where rates are going to go down, which is great for everybody. You've got great leadership and innovation in the United States. If you ask me, are you bullish on the economy? Are you bullish on U.S. companies? Absolutely. We've got some of the smartest and brightest people running some of the most important companies in the world. So, listen, I think it's like anything. We want to build our properties like a plane to go through turbulence, not just calm weather. And I think we're going to have a little bit of turbulence, but I think we're going to have a great future.
So where are you expanding? What kind of categories or geography?
Resort. We want to build more resorts. Great success we've had up at the Rosewood Miramar. We're doing more retail. and we're adding residential to our existing retail centers to convert them into mixed use, which from a modeling standpoint, financial model standpoint, is fantastic.
What about, I also wanted to ask you about the national election. You're a Democrat, right?
Yep.
You're a Democrat
Yes,
donor.
I am.
But I think of you as more to the center,
I am.
right?
Yeah.
Especially on very pro-business, obviously. So what are you thinking as far as the economic policies that we have seen laid out so far from the two candidates, and who might be better?
You know, we've got two different paths. I think Peggy Noonan in the Wall Street Journal the other day had a great article talking about voters will probably not pick a person, they're going to pick a path. And so you have two very, very different approaches here. Now, I like what Kamala is saying about housing. Housing is critically important. And I like the use of tax credits. You know, when I was a young lawyer, tax credits were one of the best incentives that they gave people to build things that were important to the economy. So bringing that kind of thinking back, I think, is a great idea. So we'll see. You know, the debate's going to show us a lot, and I think everybody should tune in, and it'd be fun. I used to love the debates when I was campaigning, and so I hope they have fun and we learn a lot about their policies.
But you're not ready to get behind it. Yeah, it sounds like.
Well, what I am ready to get behind is doing more of housing,
Yeah.
getting our streets cleaned up, getting our streets safer, and shutting down some of the problems that we have right now in our cities.
All right. Well, we'll see how fun it is tomorrow night.
It should be fun.
Good to see
Watch
you.
At least. Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
For having me.
Thanks, Rick.
Thanks,
After
Eric.
the break.